from Metalopods. Nocturnal here bringing
Ooh.
a backless comp, a backless coolerless comp here with that Dreadringer and the S-Blast 92, or is that, no, is that the 91? Yeah, I think that's the 91. Whatever, it's the kit with the Booyah Bomb. And so Nocturnal are able to take control of the zone at first. They don't cap it until they have won that fight, force the jump out from Metalopods, but that is a good job from Metalopods jumping
Ooh.
out rather than going down. But that flank over on the side from those dualies, as well as two more going down in mid, does mean that control of the zone goes back to Metalopods.
Yeah, and here we see Dynamo on the right, running out of ink, unfortunately, though that was a very powerful spot if they had the ink up. But here's a Crab Tank getting one, popping out of seemingly nowhere, managing to take them by surprise and getting the pick. That is very nice. And Metalopod still has very good control of the zone, but here comes the Zuka out, and they have a slider and a crab at the ready, so we may see the zone flip here. All of their specials coming out, and they only neutralize the zone. They haven't capped it yet, and Metalopods is still in control.
Yeah, this is a rough spot for Nocturnal. They do keep that player alive, that Dualies player alive, after getting taken out of the crab, able to cleanly get that other pick on the S-Blast who was looking for them, and that allows Nocturnal to have that positioning. They have that Dualies moving forward a little bit, looking to punish that jump, getting to with assistance from another teammate. Very good coordination there, and that does mean they go 3 players up over Metalopods, and that holds the zone for them for a little bit longer. That should be plenty for them to take the lead. It isn't fully cleaned up. There is still a little bit of blue on it, but that is no issue as Metalopods still are coming back in. However, both teams have 2 specials ready to go,
Ooh.
and Metalopods are the first to pop them, but with Nocturnal using that slider immediately in response, that does keep the status quo, which is great for Nocturnal here as they rapidly approach a knockout in Game 1.
This is very bad here. That Crab Tank going down was absolutely disastrous for them. And it looks like they're not going to be able to recover, and that is going to be the game going to Nocturnal.
Yeah, they were absolutely ready for that attempt at a retake from Metalopods. Metalopods bringing out the Crab Tank and the Tacticooler, at least attempting to, but Nocturnal had that slider from the Dreadringer absolutely ready to go, and you love to see that fist bump on the end screen. Nocturnal staying undefeated so far in this tournament.
Yeah, and that was very interesting because halfway through that game, I thought it was like that was looking pretty bad. Using what 3 specials and not managing to cap the zone, that seemed like it was going to be really bad for them. But then they managed to turn that around really quickly and then instantly KO the other team effectively. Very very good back and forth there. And a great performance showing that even when your back is up against the wall, they managed to get creative, found a way to get the zone without specials, and then use that momentum to win the game.
Yeah, and they showed a really great understanding of being able to respond to that pressure from Metalopods, being able to extend those fights that they won into control in a strong position as a team, and as well as the coordination that they showed, being able to take those fights together, being able to punish a bit of a lapse in maybe a lapse in attention, maybe just not seeing that flank, but pinching those 2 players on their right side at the time that Metalopods had one good chance at a retake meant that Nocturnal really sealed the deal for themselves, and we are going to be moving to Humpback Rainmaker next, where you're going to have to do a little bit more than just prevent the other team from getting to mid if you want to get that knockout.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like like using those specials is very good, but you need to remember that there's a game outside of that. And sometimes no matter how you use your specials, sometimes it just gets countered. And you got to be ready for that, and you got to be prepared. And I think that was one of the main differences there. But to be fair, both of those teams were doing a very good job of countering each other's specials.
Yeah, they countered each other's specials, they used their own, and in the end, Nocturnal really did have a solid control of the zone in that game, and I am curious to see what Metalopods will try to do to adapt to what they saw here.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's head into this next game here. Um, definitely exciting to see. I'm kind of excited to see how this Dynamo fares on Humpback because this map, Dynamo can be an absolute menace here. The geometry is just insane for it. This is like if you had to design the best Dynamo map in the game, it would be this one. So many ledges, so much weird geometry, so many like one-way drops that it can count. It is terrifying to fight here.
Yeah, it is indeed. The pop quickly going the way of Nocturnal, who did bring a well-strained, very good at putting down paint and doing object damage as well. I don't know if they are running Object Shredder or not, but even though they get the pop, that isn't going to guarantee them total control over mid. There is that bubble coming out from Metalopods who were able to clear out the space, but they are succumbing to those specials, the slider going in and the Zuka taking a little bit of space here for Furby on the side of Nocturnal to poke back in with those dualies, use that torpedo coming out to try and get a little further. We do see another change in the comp on the side of Nocturnal that I believe it was the Dreadringer switching over to the Dapple Dualies Nouveau, still with the Reef Slider, but with a very different main weapon.
Yeah, that's how you know that they're a Reef Slider main. But here we see the Dynamo almost getting the check, but managing to clear a way through with their team, and it's just the S-Blast left to defend this check. And will they be able to actually stop the Rainmaker? And the Booyah Bomb comes out, but not quite in time. But they do find one, potentially finding two here in a very forward spot. They have to draw attention here, but they unfortunately get taken out by the Rainmaker pop. And that is going to be Nocturnal on the up foot, beginning to move their way into mid.
Yeah, there is that first check going down for Metalopods, and so Nocturnal are going to have to do that their own. It is relatively easy to take that first check here on a Humpback pump track, but the problem is getting any further past it, or rather getting much further past it. It's relatively doable, but it's something that you have to watch out for. But there is a massive fight going down in mid. Players going down on both sides. Specials coming out. That Reef Slider able to secure the space for Nocturnal to get another attempt moving the Rainmaker forward. There's those three players grouped up. Someone rushing in for Metalopods. That is their dualies, their own Dapple dualies. Here.
Oh my gosh!
And wow, that is another push forward for Nocturnal to get that Rainmaker onto the checkpoint.
And here we see there is a very fierce battle for pop here. If they can pop this Rainmaker and grab it, then that is technically the lead. And the Dynamo dropping in, trading one. And the Rainmaker has been popped, so now it is up to Nocturnal to grab it and move forward if they want to go for a very early lead here. But I don't know if I would do that. There's 2 minutes left in the game, and neither of these leads are very safe at all. And the Dapple pushing in, breaking through, popping his slider, getting 2, potentially getting 3 here, but not quite, but still causing enough of a disruption for their team to enter mid.
Yeah, and Metalopods holding on to that very tenuous lead there, preventing Nocturnal from picking up that checkpoint even after popping it. But Nocturnal once again getting that numbers advantage, taking out that Range Blaster, taking out that Splattershot Jr., and again later on, the Dynamo diving in, able to get the pick on the Rainmaker before going down again. That was a very slow wipe against Metalopods, but it was slow enough that they were able to keep enough of a presence, especially with an all-important big bubbler from that Junior, to hold the space and once again prevent Nocturnal from getting in as the time is running down with barely a minute to go.
This is very much a Reef Slider situation. Wait, what? Okay, never mind. One of the Dapples on the Dapple on Metalopods absolutely just striking them out, I think. But either way, that we just panned back to them and everyone was dead. So, a massive explosion of ink. But that is going to be the lead swap. But they didn't get too much of a lead to speak of. This game is still it's still either team's game here.
Yeah, they did get the lead Nocturnal, but that was everything that they had going for it. Now their task is to prevent the lead from changing
Ooh.
hands again, but Metalopods, they might be getting a little bit desperate there as they tried to get the lead again, and they themselves wiped out. Now Nocturnal are in a very strong situation. They have the lead, they have control, they have the Rainmaker. There's a Kraken coming for it, making them back up. They're backing up a little bit too far maybe, but they drop down into mid to prevent
Ooh.
more of a risk of the
My
Rainmaker
gosh.
going down in a dangerous spot.
Ah, the Rainmaker was super weak. The Range Blaster almost taking them out. This is looking really bad. Metalopods was forced to absolutely rush down this Rainmaker, and there's no time. And unfortunately, that is going to be game 2 going to Nocturnal.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you are Metalopods or a fan of them, because Nocturnal are, by the skin of their teeth, really, able to make it out of this game with the lead and staying undefeated in games in this tournament, going up 2-0, one game away from a trip to the grand finals. Um, that was a very tense, relatively low scoring game for Humpback Rainmaker. Lots of
Yeah.
fights going down in mid, lots of just throwing themselves at each other without the Rainmaker making it really out of mid at all.
Yeah, like, one of the teams, the only points that they ever got was getting the checkpoint. And then the second team just barely managed to push past it. There barely any scoring happening that game. All I saw that game was the 2 Dapples, and everyone else on the team really, but mainly those 2 Dapples, just team deathmatch. Like, everybody was just dying left and right that game. I don't think there was like a 30-second window where both teams had 4 people up. There were just always fights, always people going down. That was absolute chaos, but it was really fun to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was fun to watch. It was very hectic, very fast paced. It's the kind of Splatoon gameplay you sometimes see where you just have both teams throwing themselves at each other, throwing themselves at the objective, and trying whatever they can to get something out of it. Of course, we aren't able to hear the kind of coordination or communication that the teams are putting on behind the scenes, but you'll even see this at all levels of play. Even at the top level, you'll see parts of games where the teams are just rushing in against each other, butting heads, just putting everything they have at trying to move the objective just a little bit further.
Yeah, and I love that kind of gameplay. It's very fun to watch. I'm definitely a fan of just running in and exploding. Um, it's fun.
Yeah, it
Uh,
sure is.
it's pure Splatoon.
Yeah, just something to note about that is about that last game. It is fairly rare for a team to get the win with only getting to the 52 point remaining, not even scoring 50 points on Humpback
Yeah,
Rainmaker. It is very it
both
is yeah.
there's this post a while back that was like, what score would you expect a team to win?
Yeah,
And
I was the one
Rainmaker
who made
was
that
pretty low.
post.
You were the one who
I,
made that post?
Yes, that is me. I was doing all of the stats and data um on Ludi Season 16 Leagues Under the Ink, a tournament that comes around every once in a while for hundreds of Splatoon teams to test their mettle against one another, around a similar estimated skill level. And Humpback Rainmaker was one of the map modes in the list of maps for that season. And if based on my win expectancy calculations, if you make it to 52 remaining with no knowledge of the other team's score, you have like a 7% chance of winning that game.
Dang.
But Nocturnal able to hold Metalopods to only that checkpoint was a very, very good defensive showing from them, but now we will see if they are able to defend just as well on Scorch Clans. This could be another long drawn out slugfest, but Nocturnal bringing the Bamboozler Mark II into here.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Bamboo. I think it's very underrated. It's very hard, but very rewarding, if you can aim with it. And it's a oh my gosh, okay, this crab tank is getting absolutely mauled, but they still managed to pull out a trade. That's wild. That is going to be 2 on each side. But Metalopods does have that cooler up, and they are getting some regroups. So if Nocturnal doesn't act fast, they might find themselves being rushed down by 4 coolered opponents here.
Yeah, as well as 4 colored opponents holding on to 9 clams, while Nocturnal only have 2. The big thing about Clam Blitz is that you have to manage your clam economy. That's what we all call it. How many clams you have compared to how many clams the other team has, as well as where you have paint on where the clams spawn, so you can see what clams are on the map, because that does show up in the map screen. Once again, players going down on both teams. It's still a relatively neutral state here, both teams having paint and players in mid, but Metalopods now have a power clam at their disposal, and their goal will be to move it in, get it into the basket on the side of Nocturnal.
Yeah, and we're seeing just a lot of scrappy fighting happening amidst still. S-Blast getting 2, potentially getting 3. Wait, that's not an S-Blast, that's a range blaster. Never mind.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity for Metalopods, though. They are able to extend those picks they got. And okay.
2 crabs?
Yeah, they were able to get that clam into the basket, but no more than that. Popping those 2 crabs from the dualies and the splash, but Nocturnal saw those, brought out the reef slider from those Dapple dualies Nouveau, and said enough of those crabs. We're taking that out immediately.
Yeah. And you're seeing Metalopods they're kind of showing up their defenses here, getting ready for this next push. Because scoring 80 points like that is actually not that great, because now they have another power clam to work with. The spotter shot getting targeted by that dynamo, barely managing to stay alive, and pushing in. Lots of clams coming out here, and that is going to be the lead. A quick score of 40 points, and it is just that Dapple left alive to try to find some sort of value here before they go down. Unfortunately, they aren't going to be able to find that much value, but that does mean Metalopods is now back on the push, and we're seeing another back and forth happening here.
Yeah, it's like we saw in the previous game, Nocturnal using everything at their disposal, all of their specials and all of their lives to score a few more points, getting wiped out as a result, but still managing to come back, and even without a tacticooler on their team still, being able to control the pace of the game and being able to get those trades, get enough picks to get those points where they need that.
Absolutely. And this defense is very hard to break through here. The Bamboo is doing a really great job of sort of locking the space down, making it hard to really stand anywhere, keeping control of top mid with those fizzy bombs while the rest of their team floods out and collapses on the people that they've just displaced. This coordination is very good here. This team is working together in a very fascinating way.
Yeah, they are. And now, once again, that Reef Slider giving Furby a whole bunch of clams to pick up. They scoot around in a circle there, make that power clam, and one more power clam in the basket does get through that penalty that they had accumulated. However, they aren't able to continue that push with any more, and crucially, that doesn't score them any points, but it does give a free power clam, the pity clam, so to speak, to Metalopods.
Yeah. But it does reduce their penalty by 10, but I'm not sure if that matters anymore. There's 30 seconds left in the game, and Metalopods is on the back foot here. They need to come up with something quick, and going down to the S-Blast is not what you want to see here. They're going to have to pull out something, and they're going to have to pull that out quickly, because as it stands, they only have that pity underneath their basket.
Yeah, as long as they don't pick it up and lose it, they will get a guarantee of overtime. But they are able to get 2 picks. They want to extend this further. I don't know if they have any players back by that pity clam. They're able to give enough player clams to their
Whoa.
blaster to score it,
No!
but they can't get any more. They get wiped out. All 4 players going down, and this is all but guaranteed for Nocturnal to ride this overtime out and take this set in 3 games, sending them to grand finals.
Wow, yeah, that was very unfortunate at the end there. They rushed those balls in just a bit, and they ended up going down. If they had waited just a bit more, because they had 20 seconds left on top of that overtime, which is plenty of time to find a way in. But unfortunately, they managed to score, but they needed some more clams on top of that, and they just weren't able to get that.
Yeah, yeah, Metalopods coming up just short there. They were able to win a few of the many fights that went down, but it wasn't quite enough if they weren't able to follow it up with the clams to score, because that is really what wins you the game. You need to get enough clams into the basket more so than the other team.
Yeah. And is this are we in double LM right now, or is this single LM?
No, this is single elim. This is just
Ooh,
semifinals directly to finals. And so we have Nocturnal going on to the finals and Metalopods to the third place match.
yeah, definitely good to see. I'm excited to see what Nocturnal pulls off. Will they be the winners, or will they get second place?
Yeah.
Uh, we just need to wait to find out, and we are gonna go on a short break. Um, so don't go anywhere, because we are gonna be right back with finals of this tournament.